Hello everyone, I'm Kevin, otherwise known as Form BX257, here to bring you another 1980s G.I. Joe toy review, and today I'll be taking a look at the Cobra Night Fighter, the 1989 Night Viper. Now, the Night Vipers make their first comic book appearance in the old Marvel comic run of G.I. Joe in issue number 94. And they make their first cartoon appearance in the 1989 DiC animated 5-part miniseries Operation Dragonfire in Part 1. Of course, people who remember Operation Dragonfire will also remember this as being the Cobra Trooper uniform that Lowlight used to disguise himself and infiltrate Cobra in order to track down the supposedly traitorous G.I. Joe Scoop. Night Viper comes with some admittedly very simple accessories, but they're cool nonetheless. Let's take a look at his primary weapon first. What the contents list on the card calls a gun with night scope. Looks very much like a shotgun to me. And you'll notice some very blatant holes straight through the weapon there. And that's because they fit onto the pegs on the side of his leg here. Just like that. And if you're wondering exactly why the figure needs a storage on his leg when this thing has a strap, well, I can't really answer that, but as you notice, the figures, they don't have articulation at the wrists. At least they didn't at this point in the years. So I cheat a bit by putting one of the hands on the strap and just sort of simulating a hold with the other hand. And there you go. It's actually very very natural looking, even if it is a cheat. The other prominent accessory he comes with is what the card contents lists as a night vision goggles, but I'm not sure what they're exactly referring to, because this is actually a two-piece item. You can unpeg this part, and it's very much like a scope with a little handle. And then he has a raising visor. And you can take that completely off if you want to. As a matter of fact, the figure would have come that way in the package. And you just put these on yourself. As a matter of fact, with the just with the visor on, that's actually kind of the look that they had in the comic books and the cartoons, rather than with this gigantic thing sticking out the front end. And finally, he comes with a backpack. It's rather small, and while it does have a rather thick antenna, which is good because usually these type of antenna things, they usually just pop out or crack off or get lost. And he has what looks like a knife handle sticking out. Rather unfortunate that that's not removable. And finally, I'd like to take a look at the detail on his bicep here. It's a little skull symbol in there. Rather a lot like what the 1986 Viper should have had, but that was a paint app that was cancelled on that figure. Of course, I've seen some collectors storing the unwanted sculpt on the antenna on the backpack, as well as one of the leg pegs when they're not in use. But I don't think there's anything wrong with the Night Viper using his hand to grip the handle. After all, the handle does seem rather sturdy, and that's probably what it's there for anyway. If you're looking for a vintage Night Viper on the aftermarket, there is only really one thing to look out for, and that is whether he still has the peg on his visor. The whole visor is actually very stiff, kind of brittle plastic, to be honest. So that's something that actually cracks off fairly easily, and it's kind of hard to see, of course, in pictures, especially if you're looking at it straight on. To be honest, in contrast, the scope here, while it's very easy to lose the scope, it's actually a fairly flexible material, so you're not likely to break it. but sometimes you will find the peg sort of stuck into the sculpt's hole. Despite the fragility issues with the visor, it's still fairly easy to find a complete Night Viper on the aftermarket. Unfortunately, even though he isn't a rare figure, he does carry a kind of a premium for his value because a lot of collectors really want this figure. As a matter of fact, they often buy multiples of this figure. And it's easy to see why he's become so popular because 1989 did have a lot of great Cobra troopers, a lot of great concepts of those troopers, and very good sculpts, and even very good accessories with them, like the Frag Viper, the Heat Viper, and the Alley Viper, all very good examples of this. But their color schemes kind of leave something to be desired. Not so with the Night Viper. The dark subdued colors are very appropriate and very cool looking. As a matter of fact, some collectors speculate that the light green used on the Night Viper skull unit patch on his bicep, as well as the Cobra symbol on his chest, might be based on infrared patches. Now these are patches that the military use in order to see friendlies out on the field during night battles. They would actually glow quite brightly when seen through night scopes, and if this is true, that's an added layer of coolness to this figure. Well, that's all the time I have right now. Please check out my Facebook page for more information and behind-the-scenes photos for these reviews. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for next time to see another 1980s G.I. Joe toy review. See you then.